Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to another news roundup. I've got 5 stories for you today, and for the second time this week, Red Bull is making the headlines for a couple of reasons. First up, Christian Horner believes that Max Verstappen is the best driver on the F1 grid right now, and that was proven by George Russell's performance at the Sakir Grand Prix. Now, as I'm sure you'll all remember, Russell was given the chance to race for Mercedes last year following Lewis Hamilton testing positive for COVID-19. He went on to qualify on the front row and prior to a pretty big pit stop error by Mercedes, looked on for the win. And it is that performance that leads Horner to think that Verstappen is the best out there, as he does not believe any other driver could just hop into the Dutchman's Red Bull and reach his level. Speaking to Racing News 365, Horner said, "I think he is the best, and George Russell's performance confirmed that for me. Max and Lewis stand out, but while we should not be blind to what Hamilton has achieved, he does have a good package at his disposal. Max has to get more out of his car." At Mercedes, a Williams driver can qualify himself directly on the front row, and Russell almost won the race. However, if at Red Bull someone has to get into Verstappen's car, then nobody will reach his level. Interesting stuff. The Red Bull boss also went on to add that Verstappen has become better at reading races, describing his overall racecraft as excellent, and he does not believe that Max has peaked just yet, meaning there is still more to come. As you've probably guessed by now, this is the topic for today's question. Put quite simply, do you agree with Christian Horner that Verstappen is the best on the grid? Or do you think Lewis Hamilton or maybe even somebody else has the edge? You can let me know your thoughts down in the comments section. As always, I'm sure this is going to be divisive, but do try to keep it polite and please do respect other people's opinions as well. Moving on, but sticking with Red Bull, Helmut Marko has revealed that Red Bull and Honda have agreed a deal for the team to continue using the 2021 power unit when the Japanese manufacturer leaves the sport at the end of this year. However, that does not mean everything is done and dusted. The agreement is reliant on the FIA and the teams agreeing to an engine freeze taking effect from 2022 in next week's F1 Commission e-vote. Previously, Renault and Ferrari were said to be against the idea but are now thought to be on board, provided the new engine regulations are brought forward to 2025. There could also be another stumbling block, as a number of teams, including Mercedes, are said to be against the idea of Ferrari and Red Bull's plan for engine performance convergence. Concerningly though, Marko says there is currently no plan B for the team, and should the freeze not be implemented, Red Bull would have to re-evaluate its place in the sport. When asked by Automotor und Sport about a contingency if the vote doesn't go Red Bull's way, he stated, "It does not exist. That would mean that Red Bull has to rethink its Formula One situation drastically. This is not blackmail. For reasons of reason and cost, an engine freeze is the only way with these ill-fated engines. We are waiting for the FIA's decision. We have a cost cap. We are discussing a restriction and reduction in driver salaries. Only with the engines, everything should remain open. In addition, the tendency is clear that the new regulations will be brought forward. This engine was such a cost driver, it makes no sense to invest any further now." As already mentioned, the crucial vote will take place next week, and an announcement could come shortly afterwards. Should it fail to pass though, and Red Bull chooses to remain in the sport, the team would have to either negotiate a deal with another manufacturer or, as per the rules, accept a supply of Renault power units, a move I'd imagine neither party is keen on given how the relationship ended. Next up, new F1 boss Stefano Domenicali has indicated that future F1 calendars could well feature fewer races, and interestingly enough, perhaps even a rotation of some events. This year, a record-breaking 23 races are currently scheduled, and there has been a lot of talk over the last year or so that the calendar could even expand to as many as 25 in the future. In fact, the sporting regulations were recently changed to state that the maximum number of races in a season is 25, with, for the record, the minimum now jumping up to 10. But it appears right now as though that high number is a limit rather than a target. Time will tell on that one, and the focus is very much on improving the show. But in an interview with Sky Sports, which by the way is linked down below, as are all the stories featured today, Domenicali stated, 23 races is a very important number of races in terms of quantity, in terms of attention, in terms of dedication of the people. There could be two positions on that respect. Someone could say there are too many, some others that is not a problem. If we are able to deliver an incredible product, we may go to a situation where maybe we can go back to fewer races and maybe the chance of a rotation of certain Grand Prix, keeping a focus on different areas. This is something in our plan to think about carefully this year, getting ready for when the world is normal again. On the subject of this year, Domenicali explained that F1 is being flexible with the schedule, and they do have alternatives in mind should any of the races be unable to take place, insisting though that there were no changes to report at the moment, but he is in constant contact with organisers to monitor the evolving situation. One story that really caught my eye this week, or I suppose piqued my interest anyway, came from Ferrari regarding Carlos Sainz. Mattia Binotto has admitted that the team listened to all of the Spaniard's radio messages before making a decision on whether or not to hire him for 2021. As you will all know by now, Sainz will be racing for the Scuderia this year alongside Charles Leclerc, taking the seat vacated by Sebastian Vettel. And speaking on the Beyond the Grid podcast about how he and Ferrari came to the decision to sign Sainz, Binotto said, "Before we made him an offer, we listened to all his radio communications just to see the way he was communicating. And you can see the way he is communicating is somehow telling you a lot about the way he is approaching the exercise. Very precise, I think. He's a hard worker, he's methodical, he's robust, and I think they were all components that were important for us." Of course, it wasn't all down to the radio, as Binotto added that Ferrari believes Sainz is very fast, as was proven by recent performances, and on top of all of that, his racecraft, speed, and consistency were all major factors in the decision to sign him. Okay, I know it's obvious that any team looking at a new driver would want as much information as possible, but I honestly never considered the idea that someone would sit down and listen to pretty much all of the driver's radio chat. Genuinely fascinating stuff. But anyway, it is also reported that Sainz will make his first appearance in a Ferrari next week, taking part in a private test driving the team's 2018 car. And whilst we are on testing, Yuki Tsunoda is also expected to be taking part in his first AlphaTauri test next week at Imola. And finally, Jenson Button is back at Williams. Yes, you heard that right, but don't worry, George Russell and Nicholas Latifi fans. It won't be as a driver. That probably doesn't come as a shock to anyone. The Brit, though, has signed a multi-year deal with the team to take on the role of senior advisor. The 2009 world champion made his F1 debut with the team back in 2000, impressing the team but ultimately leaving for Benetton Renault in 2001. But what will this new role entail? Well, as you'd expect, exact details haven't been provided, but a press release states that he will attend a number of races with the team in 2021 and provide advice and guidance to the team, along with helping support and develop both race and academy drivers. He will also help out with media and marketing activities. And in that same press release, Button is quoted as saying, "I am so delighted to once again be able to say that I've signed for Williams. Back when I was 19, it was a moment that changed my life, and despite the fact it was over 20 years ago, I already feel like I never really left." So Frank Williams showed faith in me, which I will be eternally grateful for, and I'm incredibly excited to come back and help the team as it strives once more for success. There's a lot of hard work to be done, but I have no doubt the future is incredibly bright for this fantastic team. On top of all those other duties, Button will continue working with Sky Sports over the course of the season. I don't think there's much else to say on this other than I did do quite the double take when the email landed in my inbox with the heading "Williams Racing welcomes back Jenson Button." It is great to see him land a role with the team that gave him his first chance to race in F1, even if it does mean coming to terms with the fact that that was 21 years ago. But anyway, that is it for this video then, but don't forget you can let me know your thoughts on Christian Horner's Verstappen claims, and indeed any of the stories featured today down in the comment section. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.